It's July 26th, 1909, and the South African coast is bathed in warm winter sunlight. A massive British steamship, the SS Waratah, is making her way through the Indian Ocean toward Durban. She's a modern marvel of engineering, a 465-foot-long cargo and passenger liner that represents the pinnacle of shipbuilding technology. On board are 211 people, crew members, passengers, and cargo worth a fortune. Everything seems normal. Everything seems safe. But within the next 24 hours, this entire ship and everyone aboard her will vanish without a trace. The Waratah was built in 1908 at the Barclay Curle shipyard in Glasgow, Scotland. She was a state-of-the-art vessel, equipped with the latest navigation equipment, powerful engines, and a reputation for being one of the safest ships on the ocean. Her maiden voyage had been successful, and she was already becoming known as a reliable workhorse of the shipping industry. The ship was 465 feet long, weighed 9,339 tons, and could carry both cargo and passengers. She was, by all accounts, a ship that should never sink. But the SS Waratah would become known as Australia's Titanic, not because of a collision with an iceberg, but because of a mystery that would baffle maritime experts for over a century. No confirmed wreckage was ever found. No bodies were ever recovered. No distress signal was ever sent. The ship simply disappeared. On July 26, 1909, the Waratah left Durban, South Africa, with a full cargo of wool, grain, and other goods destined for London. The weather was clear, the seas were calm, and the captain, Jack Ilbery, was confident in his ship and his crew. He had sailed these waters many times before. He knew the route, he knew the risks, and he believed the Waratah was more than capable of handling whatever the ocean might throw at her. But then, something went terribly wrong. The ship was last seen on July 27, 1909, by the steamship Clan McIntyre. The two ships had been traveling in the same general direction, and the captains had exchanged signals. The Waratah appeared to be in good condition. There were no signs of distress, no indication that anything was amiss. The Clan McIntyre continued on its way, and the Waratah disappeared into the vast expanse of the Indian Ocean. When the Waratah failed to arrive in London as scheduled, alarm bells began to ring. The ship was overdue. Days passed, then weeks. Search parties were organized, but they found nothing. No wreckage, no lifeboats, no bodies. It was as if the entire ship had simply vanished from the face of the earth. The mystery deepened when investigators began to piece together the last known movements of the ship. According to reports from other vessels in the area, the Waratah had encountered a severe storm on the night of July 27th. The storm had come up suddenly, with massive waves and powerful winds. But the Waratah was a strong ship. She should have been able to weather any storm. So why didn't she? One theory suggests that the Waratah was caught in a massive rogue wave, a phenomenon that was not well understood at the time. Rogue waves can reach heights of 80 feet or more and can appear without warning. If the Waratah had been struck by such a wave, it could have capsized the ship instantly, giving the crew no time to send a distress signal or launch lifeboats. Another theory proposes that the ship suffered a structural failure. Some experts have suggested that the Waratah may have been poorly constructed, or that she had a fundamental design flaw that made her susceptible to breaking apart in rough seas. The ship was relatively new, and there were whispers among maritime professionals that she was not as seaworthy as her builders claimed. A third theory involves an explosion. Some investigators believed that the ship's boilers may have exploded, causing the vessel to sink rapidly. This would explain why no distress signal was sent and why no bodies or wreckage were ever found. An explosion would have been catastrophic and instantaneous. Yet another theory suggests that the ship was caught in a whirlpool, a massive vortex of water that could have pulled the ship down into the depths of the ocean. While whirlpools are rare, they do exist, and if the Waratah had been unfortunate enough to encounter one, it could have sealed her fate. But perhaps the most intriguing theory is that the Waratah simply capsized. Some maritime experts have argued that the ship had a high center of gravity, which made her unstable in rough seas. If this was the case, A combination of heavy cargo, rough waves, and poor weight distribution could have caused the ship to tip over. Once a ship of that size begins to capsize, there is almost nothing that can be done to stop it. The mystery of the SS Waratah has captivated maritime historians and researchers for over a century. Numerous expeditions have been launched to find the wreck, but all have been unsuccessful. The ship lies somewhere on the bottom of the Indian Ocean, keeping her secrets locked away in the darkness of the deep. In 2025, a new research paper by J.D. Pons has reopened the investigation into the Waratah's disappearance. Using modern oceanographic data and advanced computer modeling, Pons has suggested that the ship may have been caught in a series of unfortunate circumstances, a combination of rough seas, poor visibility, and possibly a structural weakness that led to her rapid sinking. But the truth is, we may never know exactly what happened to the SS Waratah. She remains one of the greatest maritime mysteries of all time. Somewhere in the Indian Ocean, 211 people lost their lives in a tragedy that was never fully explained. Their names are recorded in history, but the circumstances of their deaths remain shrouded in mystery. The Waratah was never found. No wreckage has ever been confirmed. No bodies have ever been recovered. The ship simply vanished, taking with her the secrets of what really happened on that fateful night in July 1909. Today, the SS Waratah is remembered as Australia's Titanic, a ship that disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only questions and speculation. She is a reminder of the power of the ocean and of how quickly tragedy can strike, even in modern times. The mystery of the SS Waratah continues to fascinate researchers and maritime enthusiasts around the world. Every few years, someone claims to have found evidence of the wreck or proposes a new theory about what happened. But so far, none of these claims have been proven. The ship remains lost, and the truth about her fate remains unknown. One thing is certain. The SS Waratah was a real ship, carrying real people who disappeared in real circumstances. Their story deserves to be remembered, not just as a mystery, but as a tragedy. Somewhere in the depths of the Indian Ocean, the Waratah waits, still keeping her secrets after more than a century. But the story of the Waratah doesn't end with her disappearance. In the decades that followed, maritime experts and historians have continued to search for answers. In 1910, just months after the ship vanished, a piece of wreckage was discovered, a lifeboat bearing the Waratah's name. This was the only confirmed piece of the ship ever found. The lifeboat was empty. There were no bodies, no indication of what had happened to the crew and passengers. The discovery of the lifeboat raised more questions than it answered. How did the lifeboat become separated from the ship? If the crew had time to launch lifeboats, why were no other boats ever found? And why were there no bodies in the water? Over the years, numerous expeditions have been mounted to locate the wreck. In the 1970s and 1990s, teams used advanced sonar and sophisticated technology to search the area where the ship was believed to have sunk. They found nothing. The Indian Ocean is vast, and finding a single ship is nearly impossible, but the mystery of the Waratah has not been forgotten. In recent years, there has been renewed interest in the case. Maritime historians have re-examined old records and documents. They've interviewed descendants of crew members and passengers. They've analyzed weather data from 1909 to understand what conditions the ship may have faced. One intriguing detail involves the ship's captain, Jack Ilbery. Ilbery was an experienced captain, but some accounts suggest he may have been pushing the Waratah too hard, trying to make up time. If the ship was traveling at excessive speed in rough seas, this could have contributed to her sinking. The passengers aboard the ship were a diverse group. Some were wealthy businessmen, others were families emigrating to Australia, hoping to start new lives. All of these people, along with the crew, vanished without a trace. Today, the SS Waratah is remembered as one of the greatest maritime mysteries of all time. She stands alongside other famous disappearances, like the Mary Celeste and the Flying Dutchman, as a ship that vanished under mysterious circumstances. But unlike those legendary tales, the Waratah was a real, documented vessel, and her disappearance was a real tragedy.